Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's June 2nd. This will be our chart lesson for today. And we had a early two-tiered channel that was working up here. This is the way I originally drew it, and this appears to be correct. Uh, One thing that would kind of give you a heads up that maybe we were going to roll over here is that notice we got all the way to the highs on this side here. Then we got just barely above the midline, then barely above, then below. We turn down off of it, then we turn down off of it again. And so it's giving you some heads up that we may kind of roll over here. So you might have even looked at this like so. You draw this off these highs like this and drag this. So there's a kind of a secondary channel right there that you can see. And we did get a little bit of a possible overshoot maybe right here that led to a break. But honestly, I think you have everything you need to use without that, but that's just another way to look at it in case you saw it that way. There's a spiking channel up here inside the channel. So if you saw that, that's great, but you didn't really need it. So um, I'm going to move it out of the way just so the chart's a little cleaner and clear. Let me zoom in here. We'll go through the trades. You had to be patient this morning. There's not a lot of, I mean, there's quite a few once the trend after about 9 o'clock, we got quite a few decent trades up through here. But early on, it was a little bit slim picking. So anyway, 7 o'clock came just as we're turning up here. There is a second entry long right here, but at this point, this looks like a possible range, and you're right into the highs. Not a very good signal bar. A lot of reasons to just skip this one. It turns out to be a good move, but there's just no setup there, no way to get in that one. But quickly you get a failed second entry long right here that turns up. Not a chance to go short. You don't get a whole lot out of this one, but it's a quick, easy scalp. I say quick and easy. It may not have been quick, but it's a fairly easy scalp. And then, of course, we bounce here. This looks like one leg up, so this doesn't really look like a perfect reversal. So notice there's a low, and there is a first entry and second entry, and it does shoot through the EMA and pull back and test it. So prices are probably going higher. And if you draw that trend line right there and drag it up, it fits perfectly on the upside. You can see the midline fitting in there. So once you had this low in place, it was fairly easy to find this channel if you just follow the rules. So I like this one. It's not perfect, and that's why I marked it green. But if it turns up there, it's probably going to trap some shorts, and some of these guys are going to have to, they got short coming down through here, are going to have to exit. And that's what happens. You can see how quickly that rockets up. That gives you all the information you need to know that, yeah, that's probably a trap. So we run up here, and we just kind of work sideways, but notice you make a new high. You get your close outside a new high, then you move down first entry, and you move down. You get a second entry long right at the EMA. This looks mostly sideways, so this is like a little failed break lower too. So it's a second entry, a failed break lower, a fairly decent signal bar. It should be good for a scalp. There's a higher low here as well, but you're right into those highs, and I'm just not comfortable with that. And so I think you want to wait and see what happens. And then you get the failed second entry short with another signal bar. As long as you got room here to get out, I like this trade. If you don't have room to get out, then you probably need to let it break higher and then drop a limit order a tick or two back so you do have enough room. It doesn't matter in the end, but you don't know that ahead of time, so you want to be sure you can get out of the trade. It does make a higher low right here, but you got to go long right into that high, and then it does push through and pull back and give you a failure and a retest of that upper resistance that now acts as support, and it does somewhat confirm this trend line too. So I didn't mark this one, but you could argue for this to be green, knowing that it couldn't get back to the EMA because you got a trend line and the support resistance that now acts as resistance. The problem is I'd like to see this test this again, and it doesn't do that till over here. Then I like going long. And so it does come back on the second entry with the test right here. And so this would be the better place to go long. I'll mark that one green, but I think you're better off to wait for here. And even then, it doesn't go very far before it comes back again. And there's actually a support line across here. Wrong line. And notice that you make that low. You come back, you test it once, you test it twice, and you get another second entry long. So another chance to go long right there. Testing this support. So I made this one green, although with that double test, it's probably good enough to call that blue. It's just not a perfect signal bar, and it does look a little congestive. But if you understand what's going on, that you got the support here, and it's holding, and actually this might be the resistance because originally I had this right here, and so that might have been a little failed breakout. And if you notice, that's where that support is. So that was the former resistance that's now acted as support on a double test. And really you could look at this as a double test almost. So I definitely like going long here, even though we're not back. Normally I'd say you want to wait till prices get back to the trend line. But if you understand what's going on here, we're probably going higher. It actually does come back and test it again, and this time it bounces off the trend line to the tick and pretty much confirms it. The problem is this is not a very good signal bar. And so wait on the higher low here, which comes right here, and then you can see the smart traders do, because look at it take off. Runs up, and then we're just kind of working, and we fall over here, and we never really come back and retest that either, which is kind of interesting. But either way, you don't want to go, there's no other longs in here until maybe right here. But with this trend line working down here, I'd want to wait, because you may get a trap right here. I'd want to wait until for a higher low or something of that nature. And sure enough, there's a failed second entry long here that leads to a trap. And so when it breaks lower there, it's not long before the bottom falls out. It actually pulls back up again here. If that'd been a really good signal bar, I'd say, hey, you may even enter there if you didn't enter right here. But that drops on down, and now you got this two-tiered channel working down, but we get a break real quickly. There's a second entry short here, but there's just too much stem there, and that's too congestive. If you look at this, and that's very congestive. You don't want to go short there. I mean, it takes off, but you just don't know that it's going to do that. So, but we drop on down, make a new low, and then you get a first entry and a second entry right there. But I'm a little hesitant to go short on that second entry, simply because we've already had a break in a new low, and we're still inside this channel, and that's the first close outside. So there's a very high likelihood that we're going to try to make a new high. Even if we can't, even if prices can't, they're going to try. It's very rare that it'll just break and go lower. So I'm a little hesitant to go short right there. I think you need to wait on this lower high, and then that runs on down, makes another new low, and we actually get another second entry right here, but signal bar is no good on my chart. If you had a really good signal bar on your chart, I wouldn't hesitate to maybe take one more entry there. Although we've had a break and a couple legs down, we just haven't had a measured leg down, which is what you would expect. And even after we make another move, we don't quite get that measured leg. But prices never really bounce out of here. I mean, we come on down and we correct, and we end up just in this channel, and you can clearly see this channel in play until we finally break out. Now we're coming back and testing the upper side of it, but no entries in here. I don't think you want to go long here either. You want to wait on some kind of reversal, which you never get. So that pretty much took us into 2 o'clock. It just kind of got real slow here into 2 o'clock, and just not much else happening. So pretty quick chart lesson today. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. Actually, we'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow will actually wrap up our week. So another week with the holiday on Monday. It makes for a short week, but some of you have heard me tell the story about my dog that I had gotten shot and that I'd found him. And he's been sick the last few days. I've taken him to the vet, and he has a growth that they've removed, and I'm going to send that. We're going to send that in to have it tested, and hopefully it's nothing. They're hoping it's nothing, something benign and nothing serious, but we're going to send it to the lab and have it tested. And but for those of you that heard the story about my dog and are interested in dogs and have heard me talk about him, he's like family. And so say a little prayer for my dog. He did have his surgery today, and I'm picking him up at 5 today, so I'm in a little bit of a rush to get out of here too, to go get him. And I haven't seen him in a couple of days, and I'm eager to see him and see how he's doing, and I hope he recovers again. He's a tough dude. Not many dogs could take a bullet to the chest and survive, but he's one of them. So there's no doubt he's tough. And even though he's old, he's about 16 to 18 years old now. We've always thought he was 18, but the vet told me yesterday he thought he was 16. So, but I think he's just off because they told me he was 4 to 5 years old. I think when I found him, and we've had him at least 15 or 16 years. So I think he's closer to 18 or 19 years old. But he's in great health otherwise, all his blood tests. But anyway, I'm off on a tangent. A lot of you don't want to hear about my dog, but those of you do, you can listen to it. And I know you've heard the story about how I found him. And if you hadn't, I found him on a creek bank shot and left for dead. Don't know who or why or whatever, but I think it was meant to be for me to find him. And he's been with me ever since, and he's a great dog, and he's a really good guy. So he's like my best friend. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. And I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.